Hey, good morning. Welcome to Business Growth Accelerator. Simple strategies for serious business owners who are wanting solid results. And this morning, I'm going to talk to you about parking companies and the debt collectors that they don't want you to know about. I know it's a little bit different to business, but I saw this the other day. I'm not sure who put it out, but I just really like it. And it's going to help us because there's so many people who are getting parking fines and they're having to pay these people, and it's just carnage out there. So I'm plagiarizing someone else's information. If someone can tell me where I got it from, it would be good to know. So here you go. This is about simple strategies to ensure that you can actually sort out your parking tickets. Now, come with me here, because these are the dirty little secrets that the private parking industry don't want you to know about. Rule number one, debt collectors lie. And without exception, all debt collectors involved in the private parking industry are time wasters who are going to lie and cheat and to get you to pay their vastly inflated, abusive prices, and they will harass you to do this. Now remember, rule number one, debt collectors lie. And whenever people receive a debt collecting letter, it sends a shiver down your spine. I know, I've had plenty of them myself. And this is what it's designed to do, to make you nervous. Because they're going to threaten you with county court judgments, bailiffs seizing your goods, your credit rating is going to be damaged, CCJs, all these sorts of things, because these are what these letters are designed to do. Now, when you consider that it's probably over £100 parking ticket or less, it sounds utterly crazy that all of these things could happen to you if you don't pay. What you don't know is that these things can't happen to you. Now, debt collectors working for the parking industry can't do any of the following. One, they can't take you to court. Only parking companies can do that. Two, they can't send around the cowboys, or I send around the boys, as they say to you. That can only happen if you lose at court and fail to pay, and the parking company decides to use bailiffs to enforce, which is very rare indeed. Three, they can't affect your credit rating. Parking debt's not regulated, so they can't be recorded with the first credit reference agencies unless they take you to court first. Four, they can't prosecute you, except in very specific circumstances. Parking charges are civil debts, so there's no criminal offence for not paying. Five, they can't simply add charges on willy-nilly, which you'll probably find they do if you've had one of these letters. And if you're the keeper of a vehicle, the only sum that anyone can lawfully pursue you for is the unpaid cost of the original parking notice, no more than £100. Now, the most common debt collection companies are these: Debt Recovery Plus, DRP. They also trade as Zenith Collections, MIL Collections, DCBL, Equita, ZPS, and Trace Recoveries. Now, what are these companies? And again, this is someone else's words. I just think it's that great. I want to share it with as many people as I can. That's why we're doing it on Business Growth Accelerator this morning. Debt Recovery Plus. All right, they'll claim their letters that they've been assigned a debt by the parking company. Again, remember rule number one: debt collectors lie. Now, DRP has not been assigned anything because it's against the law for a parking company to assign any debt. So your letter from DRP saying that the debt has been assigned to them for a collection is a lie. DRP will normally send 2 to 3 letters with threats, offers of less settlements. They'll cajole you into trying to pay, threats that they may take you to court. And again, I'm going to tell you, remember rule number one: they lie. Now, after DRP has tried, you'll receive out of the blue a letter on a different letterhead, apparently from another company called Zenith Collections. Now, remember, Zenith Collections are DRP, and it'll claim that Zenith have now been assigned the debt. Let me say again, remember rule number one: Zenith is a trading name of DRP, so they don't assign the debt. Now, DRP and Zenith make money in a simple way. They demand more than the original debt from you to keep the difference between the £60 original parking charge and the £160 that they claim is due. That means if you pay DRP £160 when you receive their letter, then the parking company gets the £60, DRP keeps the £100. Remember rule number one: they lie. Next one, DCBL, which is DCB Legal. DCBL, the company, and Channel 5's docudrama, Can't Pay, Will Take It Away. DCBL dip their toes into private parking and they act as debt collectors, and because of their TV reputation, it's deliberately calculated to scare you. Remember again, rule number 1. Can't pay, will take it away. It's only about cases that have gone to court already and people have ignored it. Getting a debt collector letter from DCBL is just that. It's a debt collector's letter, and as such, their powers vanish just like the rest of them. Even their letters say in the little print at the bottom that this is not subject to bailiff recovery action. So why do they add bailiff level charges to the debt? Remember again, rule number 1. Equita. They're a bailiff firm who, like DCBL, should be ignored. Until recently, they were a sister company to Parking Eye. And as far as known, an Equita letter for a Parking Eye charge means that Parking Eye are unable or unwilling to take the matter to court. Perhaps the contract won't allow them to issue the proceedings, or they don't have a sufficiently strong case. So if you receive a letter from Equita for a Parking Eye PCN, this is all just about an admission from Parking Eye that they won't pursue it further. Because if they thought they had a strong enough case, the court papers would have been served on you. What about ZZPS? There's a long history behind these guys. Originally founded in 2011 by Gary Osner's parachute for failing Roxburgh businesses, and only started trading in 2015. Now, Roxburgh, of course, were closed down when it lost its FCA consumer credit license because it was considered not to be fit and proper. So why does ZZPS only pursue unregulated consumer debt on the very edge of legality? Why do they do this? Especially when you consider that as BPA members, ZZPS were obliged to comply with, or are obliged to comply with, the FCA rules, even though they don't do it. Now, there's a court case called Parking Eye versus Beavis. Now, does this make all parking private charges enforceable? Because many debt collectors will make reference to this court case. Now, for some reason, they believe that this judgment makes every single parking charge in the country enforceable and fair. Now, the thing is, Barry Beavis took Parking Eye to court because he claimed the charges were unfair and a penalty. The court disagreed. That was it. So unless you are claiming that the charge was unfair and a penalty, the Supreme Court decision has no bearing on you. Remember again, rule number 1. Contacting the trading standards. Now, letters from debt collectors are deliberately calculated to intimidate, harass, and alarm you. These letters misinterpret the facts, and if you receive letters like this, you must complain to your trading standards office, normally your local council. And don't let the council fob you off to the CAB or Action Fraud, because you want to speak to the head of trading standards if necessary, or if necessary, write to them. Now, Debt Recovery Plus letters have changed recently, so please be aware of this. It now involves solicitor-headed paper, which at first sight could wrongly be interpreted as a legal letter. But despite the serious tone of the letter, you're going to find nothing of the sort. All right? You're going to find nothing of certainty except for weasel words, shall we say, such as may we recommend or legal action may result. These letters also ask you not to contact the solicitor, but debt collections company. Remember again, rule number 1. These debt collector letters use the same threats, and again, such letters should be sent to your local trading standards. Now, currently there are 3 solicitors who use these tactics. Gladstone's Solicitors, Wright Hassel, who also trade as QDR, and BW Legal. Now, the favourite response when challenged is that these letters are intended to point out the result if legal action is commenced, which is evasive and misleading at the best. It's illegal for a firm of solicitors to mislead a layman. So in a nutshell, these solicitors are basically farming out their letterhead, and this has been admitted by at least one of them. So again, remember rule number 1, debt collectors lie. I just wanted to bring this to your attention because I thought it was a really good article, and if someone could let me know who wrote it, I'd love to acknowledge them, because I think what has been written here, and where I found it, I'm not sure, but I think it is just amazing. And I think we all need to understand that If you have to pay a legitimate debt, please do. But when you get these little sods that are doing this, we need to really stand up so they don't get away with these scams. There you go. These are simple strategies for serious business owners who are wanting solid results so you can keep some more money in your pocket and not paying these little weasels what they shouldn't be owed.